I'm Suffolk Police Chief Danny Bowie, and I'm here today to talk to you about the shooting incident that occurred last night on Thursday, September 12th. Before I get started, first I want to say that our hearts and our thoughts go out to our victims and our families involved in this senseless act of violence. And please know that the Suffolk Police Department will do everything in its power to hold the people that are responsible for this incident accountable for their actions. At no time will the Suffolk Police Department tolerate violence and gun violence. On Thursday, September 12th, at approximately 11:25 p.m., Suffolk Emergency Communications Center received a call advising of a shooting in the 800 block of East Washington Street. During the same time period, our dispatch center received numerous calls for shots fired in that same area. Upon officers' arrival on scene, the officers located multiple gunshot victims beside the business in the 800 block of East Washington Street. Suffolk Fire and Rescue responded to the scene and provided advanced life support and treatment. Unfortunately, one adult male who was later identified as 37-year-old William Goodman Jr. was pronounced deceased at the scene. Another adult male who has been identified as 30-year-old DeMonte Tillery later succumbed to his injuries at a local hospital. 3 other individuals, 2 adult males and 1 adult female, were transported to local hospitals. Their injuries are considered serious but not life-threatening. At this time, we do not have any suspect information to share, and that's why having this press conference is so important. Suffolk has always prided itself on having a great working relationship with our community. You know, we partner together. We've always had great approval ratings, and our community has always looked out for its police department as its police department looks out for our community. At this time, we need our community. We are asking for anybody who has any information of what occurred yesterday evening or yesterday night to come forward and to assist us and help us. We constantly say how well we partner with our community, and I want to put this out there. If I don't put anything else out there today, is that we desperately need our community's help today to help us find the offenders in this offense. There are several ways to report a tip: through our crime line at 1-800-LOCK-YOU-UP, by calling the Suffolk Police Department, texting a tip to our P3 tip app, or through Facebook Messenger. No tip is too small when it comes to holding those at fault responsible for their actions. So I will say it again, please, 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 to our community, if you have anything that you think may help us, even if you think it's something very small, please make a phone call, and that may be the tip that gives us the information that we need to solve this case. I'm going to take a few questions today, but I can't emphasize this enough that this is a very active and ongoing investigation. There are many details that I'm not going to be able to share with you. So please don't get offended when I say I can't answer that question. Okay? There's a reason for it, and we don't want to jeopardize our investigation by answering things that we should not answer. However, I do assure you that to the greatest extent possible, the police department will keep the members of the media and the community advised with updates. So with all that being said, I want to ask the first question goes to our Suffolk News Herald, James.
Thank you. Are you allowed to disclose what type of weapon has been used?
James, that's still under investigation. We're still collecting. The question was what type of weapons were used. We're still collecting evidence and analyzing shell casings that were found on the scene. So once that part is done, we'll be able to say what type of weapon and whether different types of weapons.
Chief, real quick before we go forward, can you spell the names of the 2 victims for us, first and last names?
Yes, let me get back here. All right, William Goodman Jr., WILLIAM GOODMANJR, and DeMonte Tillery, DEMONTE TILLERY.
Now, were the 5 victims, were they related to one another?
At this point, I'm not 100% sure what the relationship is with our victims. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but I'm not sure what their relationship is, whether they were just friends or family.
Chief, do you believe that you're only looking for one shooter in this case?
At this point, with the evidence being analyzed and collected, still we're not 100% sure whether there's 1, 2, or 3 shooters in this event.
And,
Our evidence will tell us that as we collect it.
and are you ruling out any of those either deceased or in the hospital as possible suspects?
At this point, we are conducting our investigation, and we won't have those answers until our investigation is completed.
Do you know how many shell casings were found at the scene?
At this point, I don't want to give you a wrong answer once again, but there were numerous shell casings recovered at the scene.
Do you know the business that this all happened beside? Was that business in any way involved in this, or was this just happened to be like coincidental that this all took place there at that business?
And once again, our investigation will lead us there to see why the people that were on scene, why they were on scene.
I've seen some pictures going around on social media of a pickup truck that appeared to have been hit by the gunfire last night. Can you guys talk about that?
Well, we had at the scene last night, I know there were several vehicles struck by gunfire.
Do you know where those vehicles, did they belong to anyone, any of the 2 deceased victims or the people who were in the hospital?
At this point, we're still investigating that, and we'll have those answers once the investigation is completed.
But did the police department tow at least one vehicle for evidence?
Some, at least one vehicle was confiscated and towed for evidence, yes.
Can you say why it was still, what evidence? What was
Just to continue to collect evidence.
Is there, I mean, I guess this is part of your appeal to the community, but I'm not too familiar with Suffolk's camera network. I know you have traffic cameras that the city of Suffolk owns. Do you have any other cameras that possibly picked up on any of this that you know?
We are analyzing and going canvassing the area, going door to door looking for, does anybody have Ring cameras? And we are analyzing our cameras that are in place that may provide us information.
This might have been already been said, so forgive me, but do we know the status of like how are the ones that are in the hospital, are they recovering fairly well, or are we allowed to say that?
I know that the 3 that were transported with injuries do have serious injuries, but they're non-life threatening.
Have you been able to talk with them at all?
As part of our investigation, the detectives will certainly talk to them when they're medically able to speak to them.
Is there any ongoing threat to the community, do you think?
Is there any, I'm sorry?
Ongoing threat to the community? Do you believe you have a gunman on the loose?
At this point, we don't believe there's an ongoing threat to the community.
And I don't know if you can answer this, but is there any other clues from the scene that stand out that we should be aware of?
Well, like I said, at this point, we're still collecting all of our evidence. We're still collecting shell casings and other evidence, and once we have all that and can put our case together, we'll have that answer.
We've heard from some people here in the community that Mr. Goodman in particular is a very well-known, well-respected gentleman here in the community. What impact do you think this is going to have on the community?
Well, any loss of life in our community is a tragic loss of life. So I know that for us at the police department, for Mr. Goodman and his family, our hearts go out to them, and we will do everything in our power on our end to find the people responsible for this.
How challenging is something like this for you guys? I mean, it's not every day you have a shooting involving, 5 victims with, a crime scene that it is what it is. So how challenging or how taxing is something like this on your guys' resources on top of everything else that you still have to deal with on a daily basis?
Well, any large incident is taxing on any police department, but for us, we are equipped and we have enough resources to where we can certainly deal with this investigation and any other thing that may come up.
I mean, I know it's early on in the investigation, but as you're aware, we've had other shooting incidents across the country where 5 people or more have been shot. And at this point, is there any indication this is random?
We are still investigating it. We have nothing to lead us to believe that there's an ongoing threat to the community.
There's a Family Dollar right across the street. Have you guys been able to pull any surveillance camera video from there?
Our detectives are working diligently today and ongoing to collect all the camera footage we can collect from residences and businesses in the area.
I went and knocked on doors in some homes in the area, and residents seem to be pretty hesitant to talk about, anything that may have happened or they may have seen or heard. Are you guys getting any cooperation from residents in the area?
It's ongoing. We are still canvassing the area Just as you say you did, you canvassed the area, we canvassed the area in the same way, and we speak to residents. And we are asking for residents to please give us any cooperation they can give us that'll help us in this investigation.
Have you talked to the victim's family at all?
Me personally,
Yeah.
no, sir, I haven't. As of this time, no, sir, I have not.
The two deceased victims, did they both live in Suffolk? Are they both Suffolk residents, do you know?
Yes, I believe both our people are Suffolk residents, yes.
And the three that are in the hospital, are they Suffolk residents as well?
I don't know that answer about the 3 that were injured, but I do know the 2 deceased subjects were Suffolk residents.
And I know you said the 3 in the hospital are adults. Can you say roughly how old they are? I mean, are these like 20s and 30s?
And we're not going to divulge that information on the people who were injured, not at this time. Thank y'all very much.